1-800-449-8255. Clark the Sharkalama Ding Dong, the Sharkadoodle-Doo has an album to review for all of you. Captain Beyond, Sufficiently Sharky. Sorry. Sufficiently Breathless, you guys, 1973. Sharky was just 8 years old in Torrance, Redondo Beach. Just a little guy. But, I didn't really know Captain Beyond yet at age 8, or maybe I sort of did. Who knows? But, I heard it. But later on, as I grew a little older, of course, you guys, I would find my way right here on the Clark the Shark Show over to Captain Beyond. Indeed. Now, of course, that first album, 1972, which is actually recorded in 1971, is incredible. One of the greatest albums ever recorded in rock and roll history, the debut album from Captain Beyond. Rod Evans, Rhino, Lee Dorman, and of course, Bobby Caldwell on drums. It's not arguably, you guys. There is no argument. That album is one of the greatest albums ever recorded. It's true. I'm not kidding. Now, this second album, 1973, is totally different. And the thing I really hate about this album is it does not have Bobby Caldwell on drums, you guys. And that is, that is a big no-no. That's taboo. If you've got Bobby Caldwell, you use him. Now, apparently, he quit the band, or I don't know what happened, or they fired him. Who knows right here on the Sharky Show what happened, but there is no Bobby Caldwell, one of the greatest drummers in the history of rock and roll. I think he played with Edgar Winter, Johnny Winter, or, something. But I know him mainly from my perspective, yours truly, the Sharkalama Ding Dong. I know Bobby Caldwell from Captain Beyond, and it pains me that he's not on this album, because this album would have been so much better with him. They have this other guy, and then they add a bunch of people to the band here, and they add a Latin, kind of like a Latino twist to the album, which I'm not sure if I like or don't like, because, come on. That first Captain Beyond album, 1972, recorded in 71, such an amazing, incredible, dynamic, sophisticated, explosive album. Now, this one here isn't disappointing. This is good. It's really rock solid. Sufficiently Breathless from me. Sufficiently Sharky, 1973. This album, you guys, has a little more organization or something than, that other Captain Beyond album. There's actually 3. There's Dawn Explosion, which I think I reviewed long ago, but that one does not have Rod Evans. Sadly, you guys. The title track, Sufficiently Breathless, awesome. Bright Blue Tango. One of my favorite Captain Beyond songs, and Drifting in Space is really good. This is progressive guitar rock, and like I said a moment ago, with a little Latin twist here. Very different from Captain Beyond debut, Captain Beyond 1, 1972. Incredible album, you guys. It's hard to top that. Let's be perfectly honest and earnest and frank here. Captain Beyond put out one of the greatest albums in history. with that first album, and then, this album here is good. It's rock solid. Starglow Energy, Distant Sun, progressive rock, but this time they're trying to get on the radio or something. Voyages of Past Travelers, it's good stuff here, you guys. Everything's a circle. I like this album. I do. Me, Clark the Shark. I think the guitar from Reinhardt, is really nice all over this. Heavy rocking. It's not like that first album, though. There's something special about Captain Beyond 1. And then this album is just kind of basic, really good, solid, awesome, progressive boogie, rock and roll. The first album I would compare to like maybe Deep Purple and The Who. And The Who live, like live at Leeds Who. Or like the Who concept, like you envision them. And then Deep Purple, Machine Head, and Deep Purple and rock. But then they mix it with that and they fuck it up or something. They twist it up, you guys. 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. And the first Captain Beyond album comes off almost like, I don't know, like better than Frank Zappa or, progressive kick-ass rock like You Fucking Love It. Guitars, heavy, the bass from Lee Dorman, awesome. And of course, Rod Evans is amazing, and he's like the weakest link in the band. That tells you right there how fucking great and amazing that first Captain Beyond album is. But this album's solid. Now, later on, years later, the record company, I guess, got in touch with Captain Beyond and said, hey, you guys still owe us another album. And so that's how Dawn Explosion from 1977 came to be. And they couldn't find Rod Evans, who's very elusive, you guys. 1-800-449-8255. Even today, Rod Evans is like rumored to be a doctor at a hospital. And me, Clark the Shark, I've actually seen him in Torrance, California. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. You guys think I am. I'm not. He works at Harbor General County UCLA Medical Center. I think it's on Carson and what's that street that goes north? I'm not sure. Like Crenshaw or Western or, Normandy. I don't know, you guys. It's where I was born, me, yours truly, Clark the Shark. It was called Harbor General. But now it's, it's got a new name. County UCLA. But, Rod Evans is there, you guys, believe it or not. And if you go up to him and mention Captain Beyond, it's the only way he'll break loose and talk. If you talk about Deep Purple, he just, clams up and shuts down, and he's very antisocial. But I found if you mention Captain Beyond to Dr. Evans, then he gets friendly and he starts talking about the old days and all that right here on the Clark the Shark Show. But anyway, Dawn Explosion, which I reviewed, is an incredible album, you guys. It is. Better, in my opinion, than Sufficiently Breathless right here. I can't compare them. They're like apples and oranges. And I would compare Dawn Explosion to the first Captain Beyond. And there's a singer named Willie DeFern on Dawn Explosion. But the whole album's fucking incredible. I don't know how that album failed or didn't sell, or, people hated it, or critics hated it, or magazines hated it, or it just went nowhere. You got to hear that album, Dawn Explosion. It's unreal, you guys. It's fucking awesome. Not as good as Captain Beyond 1. But this album, Sufficiently Breathless, this cover reminds me of A Trick of the Tail by Genesis. And I get the vibe that the same artist that did that cover did this one. I'm not kidding, you guys. I do get that vibe. Me, the Sharky. I love this cover, and I love this album. I love these songs. Starglow Energy. Um, I do get a Deep Purple vibe. I get a vibe like The Who, Quadrophenia, Frank Zappa, a boogie woogie rock, like Skinnerd. But no, none of that. Captain Beyond, in some weird way, has this generic kick-ass rock and roll boogie woogie sound on all three of their albums, you guys. They're amazing albums, all three of their incredible albums, I should say. This album is the weakest of the three, I think. That's my humble opinion, Clark the Shark. And yet, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give this album like an 8.7. It's a really good album. Evil Men, awesome. I mean, if you like kick-ass rock and roll, 70s, I'm trying to think of the bands to compare this to. It's straight up 70s rock, you guys. I want to say Deep Purple and The Who and Skinnerd and, that sort of stuff. Molly Hatchet and, maybe even Zeppelin or something. But no, you guys, Captain Beyond, in some weird twisted way, invented this sound that other bands copied or latched onto, and they became much more successful than Captain Beyond. This band, in many ways, kind of invented arena metal alongside Deep Purple and bands like that, The Who, Zeppelin, Skinnerd, But no, Captain Beyond here, they mix this with a Latin flavor. You just got to hear it, you guys. The title track, Sufficiently Breathless, and then Bright Blue Tango. The thing that's disappointing about this album is it's really fucking good, but not as good as the first one. And it's weirdly not as good as Dawn Explosion with Willie DeFern. I'm just being serious, you guys. Me, Clark the Shark, I'm always honest. I shoot from the groin, literally. Come on. Right here on the Clark the Shark inane, insipid shit show. I just tell the truth, you guys. 5'5", 5'6", kind of like that guy Greg Gutfeld on Fox News. He is me, you guys. That's me if I was on TV. I am as small and annoying. And just like him, I'm pretty solitary, solitude. Probably when he leaves Fox News and goes home, he has no friends and no one calls him. Nobody calls somebody that's 5'6". I mean, come on, dude. We can't beat people up or something. I don't know. But we can review music. And in some cases, you guys, incredible music like Captain Beyond, Sufficiently Breathless, 1973. When you think about 1973, you think of The Who, Quadrophenia, The Stones, Goat's Head Soup. A lot of great albums come to mind. But for me, Clark the Shark, Captain Beyond, Sufficiently Breathless, not as good as it is compared to their first album. Still, you guys, this fucking album, I want you to buy it out there. I do. Is this album super original and never been done before? Yes and no, you guys. It's some of you might go and buy this. If if Clark the Shark tells you to go and buy this at Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, wherever great music is sold, it's probably going to go into the pockets of Tommy Mottola and, Irv Azoff and Clive, whatever his fucking name is. What's his name? The guy that ripped off Whitney Houston, Clive Davis. Dude, who cares? Buy music, support 70s rock, and definitely support this boogie woogie, not garage rock. This is kick-ass polished studio, awesome 70s rock. You might agree or disagree, but I swear to God, I want you to buy this, especially if you're only 20 and you were born in 2004, 3 years after 9/11, when Mohammed Atta and those Al-Qaeda terrorists flew those jets into the World Trade Center. You weren't even born yet. You weren't born until 2004, and now you're 20 right here in 2024, and you stumbled upon me, yours truly, Clark the Shark, where I'm telling you to buy Captain Beyond. You young people especially, I want you to get into all 3 albums by Captain Beyond, but in some weird, twisted way, I want you to get into Sufficiently Breathless, 1973, the most, because it's progressive. The guitar is amazing, the singing awesome. Maybe the drumming here ain't that great because it ain't Bobby Caldwell, baby. I mean, come on, dude. You don't do Captain Beyond without Bobby. That's like doing The Who without Keith, or like Zeppelin without John. Now, you can do the Stones without Lars Ulrich. That fucking guy sucks. Or you could do the Ruddles, with Ron Nasty and Dirk McQuickley, and without Lars. Shitty drummers sometimes get into the world's greatest bands, you guys. Unfortunately, or fortunately in their case, but here in Captain Beyond, Bobby Caldwell is, believe me, it's a travesty, a tragedy, and a crime that Bobby Caldwell, the most amazing drummer in rock, maybe only Carl Palmer and Ian Pace and Keith Moon and a couple others are near Bobby Caldwell, but he's fucking amazing. And it is a crime, you guys. It is a rock and roll crime that, he ain't on this album, you guys. Sufficiently Breathless, the Captain. Who is the Captain on this album? I guess it's, Evans. But it might be me right here, yours truly, Clark the Shark, the Capo. Da Capo, like Arthur Lee. I might be the captain, you guys. I always talk about Captain Beyond, and there's this big argument. Is it Bobby Caldwell? Is it Rhino? Or is it, we know it's not Lee Dorman. Is it Rod Evans? Who is the captain? I think it's me, Clark the Shark, your humble genius, you guys. As Zappa would say, eccentric, yes, genius, not maybe, definitely, when you're talking about Clark the Shark and Zappa. But Captain Beyond here, you guys, Sufficiently Breathless, 1973. This album is, I wouldn't say it's incredible, but it's really good, rock solid, 8.5, 8.8 out of 10 type of rock. Progressive rock, rock and roll. Generic 70s rock. Done fucking awesome, amazing, correctly right, baby, right here on the totally thorough Clark the Shark Show, where almost no stone is left unturned, you guys. Man, I love Rhino Reinhardt, even though he's not really the guy in Iron Butterfly. That's Eric Brand, you guys. But Rhino's fucking amazing when he came along. And then he became buddies with Lee Dorman, and then they hooked up with the fucking guy from Deep Purple, Rod Evans. And of course, Rod Evans has had a weird life where he became a doctor. He was in that fake Deep Purple thing, which I think is just bullshit because you'd have done it too, and so would have I, late 70s. And there was no Deep Purple at the time. The band broke up. And then I guess the management in Deep Purple sued Rod Evans and for a bunch of money and wrecked his life. And that's why he became a doctor. And who knows, maybe it was a blessing in disguise from the good Lord above, God, that he became something that we need in society, you guys. We need doctors. We don't really need rock stars. That's not necessary. But doctors, we do need them. And Rod Evans, Dr. Evans at County UCLA Medical Center in Torrance, California, the home of me, yours truly, Clark the Shark. I'm grateful and glad that Rod Evans became a doctor. And in some weird, twisted way, I'm happy that he didn't continue being the captain. Right here in Captain Beyond, you guys, on the Clark the Shark show, and it became a noble thing, a doctor, which of course is something we all need. Now, me, Clark the Shark, at 5'6", I would have loved to have been a doctor or some shit. But I'm a guy, 60, who can barely even afford his storage units, driving for Uber. So I commend you, Rod Evans, for having the brains, the balls, and the wherewithal and talent and smarts to go get a degree, go become a doctor. Awesome. I commend you, my friend, Dr. Evans. And next time I see you, when I come in there, for skin cancer or whatever, or sore knees or sore neck like I have now, because I'm hunched over doing this review, I'll talk about Captain Beyond, and then Dr. Evans starts perking up and talking. But if you talk about Deep Purple, he'll just leave the room. Dude, don't get mad at Deep Purple. It was a different vibe, baby, in the 70s, when Richie Blackmore got with Coverdale and, heavy hard rock came along. And, Rod Evans got left behind by rock and roll on many levels, in many ways, sadly. But he will never be left behind by me, yours truly, Clark the Shark, where I just gave you the only review of Captain Beyond, sufficiently breathless, with this amazing album cover of this devil, and the cop has his hands just turning into a gun. And 1973, Sufficiently Breathless. Buy this album, Captain Beyond. And I want you to go talk to Dr. Evans and tell him, don't be bitter about Deep Purple, but be happy and rejoice, Dr. Evans, about Captain Beyond, because you were in one of the truly greatest bands ever in rock and roll. I don't really put Deep Purple in that class, even though, I put the Kinks, the Who, Led Zeppelin, and the Stones, and the Beatles in that little club of the 5 greatest bands or whatever. Captain Beyond is in that next tier with like Sabbath, and Deep Purple's in that next tier. I'm just sorry to admit it and say it, you guys, and Van Halen and all that. But there's that little club of, with like Ray Davies, and I don't even think I would put Frank Zappa in that little club. You could probably think of another band to go in it, but for me, it's the Stones, the Beatles, the Who. That's the club, you guys. Zeppelin's right on the edge, and maybe David Bowie could be in that. I don't know. I don't like to think of rock and roll as competition, like who's great, who's super, who's mediocre great. I don't like to think about that, baby, because everyone knows who the greatest is. It's the Shark-a-doodle-doo, the Shark-a-lamma-ding-dong, 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone. It's not a microphone. It's a solid gold with only 2% nickel. Sharkerphone, baby. It's not a microphone. Number 1 worldwide syndicated WABC radio, New York. Number one on Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, but definitely, you guys, 100% number one on Uranus. Buy this album, you guys, and you tell them Clark the Shark sent you. And I'm out of here, people. Peace.